Liu Xiaobo was born on December 28, 1955 in Changchun, China, to two very intellectually inclined parents, which is where we could assume his interest in literature originated. Xiaobo attended two universities and was admitted to the Department of Chinese Literature. The second university he attended, Beijing Normal University, is where he began a poetry group called The Baby's Heart. After he graduated, he began teaching as well as publishing various writings in magazines on his radical beliefs about the political structure of China. His work and honesty had a great impact on the Chinese people.
A young writer during the 80s, and some of his articles and some of his thoughts has attract so much attention of the younger generation.
In 1985, he married Tao Li and had his son Lu Tao. 2 years later, in 1987, he published his first book entitled Criticisms of Choice, which bashed the cultural belief in Confucianism. He earned the title Dark Horse because of his radical beliefs, and his workings became referred to as Liu Xiaobo shock or the Liu Xiaobo phenomenon.
通常被称为遗迹作家。那么我们会坚持在这么一个没有言论自由、没有出版自由、写作自由的环境中呢，我们坚持。
As his beliefs and name spread, he was asked to visit and be an honorary scholar at various universities, some of which included Columbia University and the University of Hawaii. Upon attending these universities, he broadened his understanding of various political structures and expanded his research. However, his research was cut short because of uprisings in China. Upon Xiaobo's return to China in 1989, he entered in the midst of major protests in Tiananmen Square. Xiaobo decided to leave the West where it was safe and join the protests in Beijing. That same year, he published his third book, The Fog of Metaphysics, which dealt with the Western philosophies. This also led to the banishment of all his workings. Yet, this was just the beginning.
Nobel Peace Prize winner Liu Xiaobo won the prize for his long and non-violent struggle for fundamental human rights in China. In the field of human rights, he took part in student protests in Tiananmen Square in 1989 against Chinese communism. Some of his services also included the criticizing of the one-party system in China, which resulted in 3 years of Chinese labor. He is one of the most well-known prisoners today. He is also an author of the Charta 08, which is a book on Chinese politics. He was unable to attend the Nobel Peace Prize meeting where he was going to accept his award because he was imprisoned upon acceptance.
December of 2008, Chapter 08, a manifesto that demands the reform of the Chinese government, was released to the public. Liu Xiaobo was one of the 350 authors, however, was already detained 2 days before its release. He was arrested under the charges of suspicion of inciting subversion of state power. He was tried a little over a year later, December 23, 2009, at the Beijing No. 1 Intermediate Court. Louis wanted to read his I Have No Enemies speech in court, however, was never given the chance or right to speak. The speech was later read for him when he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize while he was still in prison. He is currently serving an 11-year sentence until 2020 in Jihao prison.
Liu Xiaobo to 11 years in prison and 2 years deprivation of political rights for exercising the right of free expression that he has not only under international law but under the Chinese constitution. So that's basically why we're here. We're here to express and explain why we think this is an outrage.
Since he won the Nobel Peace Prize, his wife, Louis Chia, has been under house arrest, however, has not been accused of any crime, and authorities do not acknowledge that she is there at all. Since this, it is said that she has become severely depressed. The American government, as well as many protesters around the world, have demanded for his release. Secretary of State John Kerry said in December of last year, "We strongly urge the Chinese authorities to release Liu Xiaobo, to end Louis Chia's house arrest, and to guarantee to Liu Xiaobo and his family members all internationally recognized human rights, protections, and freedoms." Also adding, as the United States builds a constructive relationship with China, U.S. leaders will continue to raise concerns related to to respect for the rule of law, human rights, religious freedoms, and democratic principles with their Chinese counterparts. The Chinese replied with, "China is a country with rule of law, and all are equal before the law. No one can be above the law. Liu Xiaobo and Xu Qiang are Chinese citizens who broke the law and have naturally been punished according to Chinese law. It is clear that the fight for an early release of Liu Xiaobo will take a lot of effort. Regardless of his current situation, Liu Xiaobo has made a very significant impact on China's push to be a more liberated country and is clearly a hero to many across the world."